Welcome to Tradespoon and Yellow Tunnel. My name is Vlad Karpel. I'm CEO and founder of both companies. And today we're going to have a live trading room open to trade stock and options using our technology. Before we begin, let me know if you guys can hear me and see my screen. We'll begin shortly after. Ernest, Martin, Claude, John, Fred, how are you guys? Give me a second. Okay. I think we can start. Just invite Discord, guys. Okay. Right, thank you for waiting. Let's start. Subscribers, this is my brief bio. Disclosures are very important. I'm going to go to specific trade ideas, positions like orders. It's important to understand risk associated with trading stock or options. If you're new to trading, I encourage you to visit optionscreening.com so you can understand the risk associated with trading stock or options. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not registered with FINRA or SEC. I'm showing you what I do on my own account based on my own risk tolerance level. For general education information purposes only, please consult your financial advisor prior to making any trading decisions. Also, it should not be assumed that the future trade picks will be profitable or will equal past performance. All right, let's talk about trading plan, right? It's very important before market open to look at the pre-market futures, look at the initial claims, where the currency market is, where the treasury market is, and determine key support and resistance levels, right? I always review my previous trades, right, from previous couple of trades, see what I did correctly, what I did incorrectly, and for that, it requires journaling. So I encourage everybody to journal. If you haven't done that, I think that's an important part of becoming a disciplined and successful trader, is to keep a journal, document all your trades, decide what your target gain and stop loss ahead of time. And journal, I would have a checklist. First one is cash. I think it's important. I propose 30% of portfolio in cash. Second one is portfolio drawdown. I have, am I exceeding that? And then for each position or for each trade I put, am I risking more than 2.5%? There's other checklists. Some people want liquidity, right? I prefer to trade only stocks that have weekly options because I like to trade stock. Right now, probably June expiration instead of April, right? If you have April position and we have expiration tomorrow, you probably don't want to have at the money or near the money options. I'll confirm the trend change. Right now, short term, the trend is down. Probably even medium term, the trend is down. So to reverse this downtrend, you probably need at least 2 to 3 days strong move to the upside and break above 50-day moving average to confirm the uptrend. Otherwise, it's, you know, short term to medium term, it's downtrend, and probably selling to the rallies would be the right strategy. So you document that, and then in terms of 2.5% target gain stop loss. So my market slightly higher, 502. We've been trading below. Usually I wait for 2 to 3 days. So day 1, day 2, day 3, we're below 50-day moving average. 15 is your overhead resistance. If we can break above 415, I would be more bullish, right, above this, and this broke through that open print after NVIDIA earnings. QQQ already closed that gap, and we're approaching lower Bollinger Band. So statistically, obviously, market now got from overbought to oversold conditions. So there should be a bounce, you know, maybe off of the blue line, maybe off of the 490. I guess we'll see. Probably need some kind of a good news, right? So it doesn't seem like it's helping the market, but we do have Netflix. We do have TSM, so more notable companies announcing earnings. So far, banks, regional banks are, you know, haven't saved the day. We do have a significant pullback in semiconductors, right? So semiconductor made new March lows, marginal new lows. It's down today, 0.5%. So if that can, and NVIDIA, I think, is the same thing, right? NVIDIA is sitting at the March lows. So if NVIDIA is unable to hold on to 50-day moving average and semiconductors are already pulling back below 50-day moving average, then that's kind of another problem, right? Because there's more pressure, and at least semiconductors have not closed the gap since NVIDIA earnings. So there's still more room to the downside. So, I mean, I think right now most people are probably bearish. So if you're bearish, right, this downtrend, and we broke below this, you know, kind of this descending triangle. So as long as we're below that level, you know, I think, you know, you sell into the rallies. If we get above that level, 515, then, you know, then I would say market conditions are changing back to the, because long term we're still healthy pullback, whether it's 5% or 10%, it's still considered to be a healthy pullback. So I would say 480 to 100-day moving average is a line in the sand. Long term, it's still an uptrend. Short term to medium term, you know, we could get to 480. So if you're, let's say, short in the market and you think 500 level will not hold, because of the options expiration, right? A lot of hedges will come out tomorrow, and May has not been well hedged up until. I would change, the stop level would be 15, maybe 8, 20. Let's do it a little bit more conservative, 20 points. Right, so my stop loss, if I'm shorting the market, would be 20 points. If we get to 520, then okay, this pullback is over, and probably have strong earnings. The only thing that I can think save the market, either strong earnings or Powell coming out and saying, listen, I'm going to make an assumption that you need 3 more months of lower inflation for Powell to say, okay, we're going to start lowering interest rates. Until then, he's just going to be slightly hawkish, slightly dovish based on the data. But, the assumption is that earnings estimates and revisions were lower, and the companies will beat. So unless, Netflix and Apple and Microsoft and Nvidia can save the day, and, we'll see, right? We'll see what the earnings are. So that would be my target gain and stop losses. In terms of earnings, today, a lot of regional banks, Key, LI, Financial, CMA, we have Alcoa earnings, we have DFS earnings, and the Las Vegas Sands. So those are the stocks that I'm watching. Again, wait 15 minutes. Right now, I would sell into the rallies. That would be my strategy. Las Vegas Sands is 47.58. Yesterday's screenshot, and there are no position in puts, right? So that opens the door. If there's negative surprise, then the stock moves to the downside, right? So that would be, where you would probably want to be long volatility on the downside, right? In terms of, actually, I was analyzing yesterday United Airlines, right? So it was good that I did the ratio spread at least. But United Airlines, there was a huge 6 before we left, but then despite the down market, it actually got carried almost to 50, right? Because of such a large positioning of calls. So somebody was out of calls to 50 level, right? And so the Vanna pushed the stock all the way to 50. So I did close the, as soon as it broke through, right? But in retrospect, that was, a good example of where, it did gravitate over the strike price that I had, right? Short 48.5 call, but to close 46.5 call, right? I closed the 46.5 call, but it kind of broke above that level. And the main reason is this very large position in 46.5, and then it pulled despite the down market, it pushed them all the way to 50, right? Because the dealers had to buy the hedges. So this is a good lesson, right? To look at the call skew and put skew. This is obviously very large call skew that pushed the market to the upside. So ratio spread, in retrospect, probably wasn't, I should have been less frugal and just do a debit spread. If it was a debit spread, this would be a good trade. All right. That's United Airlines. Meanwhile, let's just look at DFS. It continues to drop. Sorry, no, the LVS. LVS continues to drop. So I'm watching LVS. It's actually got to 46. And CMA is up 4%, and LI is up 6%. And you want to wait first, 1.5%. So yesterday I did close I close XLE, right? So XLE has been in strong. Crude oil has collapsed back to, I think, 80 level. Right, so fear of demand. So we do have XLE dropped support at some point, maybe re-enter the position. But because I'm still bullish on the crude oil, but it's obviously volatile and had a significant sell-off. Bitcoin also appears below 50-day moving average, similar to NVIDIA, right? They're kind of moving in the same direction. So 60,000 is an important level. And today, looks like copper, silver is slightly higher. Spiders flat, semiconductors are under pressure, and QQQ is flat. Still above 460, 450, right? So it's still elevated. Dollar at 106, still elevated. And we have options expiration. All right. Any questions so far? Good morning, Fred. Chuck, good morning. TSM also very down on earnings. The TSM announced earnings. Did I miss that? Yeah, so TSM down 4%. Down 4% on earnings, and that's pushing this. How can you tell? So, Carol, the theory goes, the question is, how do I know if people are buying or selling calls? If it's negative. So if the VANA is negative and you have volatility below 50, right, this volatility imbalance, weighted eyeball skew below 50, right, in near weekly expirations, buying aggressively calls, right, very large VANA, 4,000, negative 4,000. If it's positive, which stock did I review recently? Let's say Citigroup, right? If it's positive, that means people are selling puts, right? They're selling, selling calls. This is out of the money before Citigroup earnings and out of the money puts. So that means, and vol skew is greater than 0.5 right here, right? Everything is above 0.5. So then you know this is a put skew, people buying puts, selling calls. And if volatility imbalance is negative, right, that weighted eyeball skew is negative, then the assumption is that more people buying calls. It's just delta, right? More people are buying calls. So I'm managing LVS. I'll look at my positions. What can I close it at? Oh, I got filled. Okay. Okay, I did get filled on LVS. I need to hedge my short. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Alcoa turning negative, 34 put. Let's look at our core earnings. So big reversal was up 3%. Now it's rolling over. And LI 39. Any questions? Yeah, thank you. Bob present. Okay, Bob is here, so we gotta talk about other topics except ALI and LVS. Okay, so let's look at interest rates. Let's see how we're doing on interest rates. So 10-year yield, I mean, it's kind of now trading style, but it's elevated, right? I would watch 4.7. I think if we do jump above 4.7, that opens the door to 5, and then the 20 would be problematic for the market. I mean, QQQ down, semiconductors are down. Semiconductors are just doing a catch-up. They're decisively down below 50-day moving average, so downward pressure. Spiders flat, IWM flat. And, the thing that I'm paying attention the most, I think, should be option expiration, right? I mean, usually April, May is a strong month, right? This is one of the reasons I was bullish. But now that, price action tells us otherwise, I think we do have hedging, right? There's quite a few positions are left at the 490, right? 490 and 500 level, which expires tomorrow, right? They're all going to be gone tomorrow, right? And then we're going for 88, but see, this number is also growing steadily, right? That means that somebody thinks we can get by third Friday in May to 420 level, right? I mean, that's a very significant sell. You don't really need to go to 420 to be profitable on these puts. All you need is jump in VIX, right? If you have jump in VIX, then you can buy 420 put, and with a small, as long as the market drops and VIX goes up, people think that we can reach those levels or get close to this level. So that is the risk in the market. And any negative news, whether Israel retaliating to Iran or TSM has bad earnings, that all of that can trigger additional pullback. So I would be market neutral or bearish, right, and hedge your position. Yesterday I did close XLE and I did close Qualcomm, right, because they're all kind of losing the momentum, and the market is reversing. So I didn't even wait for 50-day moving average. It broke to this uptrend, broke to the 50-day moving average. Day moving average, I mean, it could drop like IWM to 150, right? IWM is already at 2 standard deviation, so IWM is already oversold. The good news is that IWM is a 2 standard deviation. It's close to 200-day moving average, and 3 days in a row, it's not making new lows. So it shows you that probably market is oversold and due for a bounce back. Whether that happens before expiration or after expiration, I guess we'll see. And same thing, I think, regionals, right? They're kind of stable. They're below 200 side. We're just kind of waiting for semiconductors and and QQQ to catch up. In terms of the Netflix going into the earnings today, right? That's going to be important. I mean, it's consolidating. It's sitting at the important support, 50-day moving average. Meta is actually stable, above 50-day moving average. Amazon above 50-day moving average. Microsoft dropped below 50-day moving average. So Microsoft earnings are going to be important. In the next 7 days, by next Friday, we'll have Microsoft. We'll have, I think, Amazon. Amazon is a little bit someone else. Meta? Yeah, Meta. We have Meta. We have Netflix. Tesla. Tesla is in trouble, right? Tesla is in trouble. This earnings is, there's only two ways Tesla is going to move. It's either going to retest the lows at 100, or it's going to bounce back to 223. Assuming they're not going to have good earnings, I would not be surprised that Tesla is going to be at 118. But lows. Google strong, Apple weak in the next 2 weeks. Right? So we have 2 weeks of earnings. Value stocks holding on, right? That they led the market to the downside. Looks like they're stabilizing. Probably already going through this breakout, right? The 2021 all-time high breakout around 151. So I would watch that level, right? But value stocks are not that far away from the original breakout level. Spiders are flat, QQQ is flat. So it looks like silver is actually stabilizing. We do have a breakout 24. I think, I don't think it's going to drop below 25. So let's see. Where do we have silver? Profit accelerator. Do we have silver here? Actually, we don't have silver. We have gold. We have gold. We have dynamic power trader. Gold, silver. Okay, so let's add silver to profit accelerator also. So I think, at least it should be consolidating. So that credit call spread, I think it makes, then makes, I'll hold it, but now I can get kind of into a cover call. So I closed the debit spread because I think it's going to consolidate and silver is staying at the 26 level, at least 25, 26 level. But 28.30 call should continue to lose premium, right? Silver, I think, small position. Been trading around this for quite some time. I'm still bullish on precious metals as long as inflation is stubbornly high. I think it makes sense to accumulate. So I would use maybe 25 level as your stop loss. So dollar. If it drops to 25, I don't want to be down more than $100, right? So I can buy maybe 50, 100 shares on the $10,000 account. Yeah. So now I still have a silver call spread, right? 26.28 or 28.30. So I have 28.30 call spread, 40 cents. So it's 1.5% till May 17th of time decay. But now I started to add silver, on the $10,000 account, maybe 50 to 100 shares, right? Because at 25, I want to close the credit call spread and maybe add to silver, right? That would be my strategy right now. Any questions on silver? All right, let's look at the earnings. Let's see, LVS continues to drop. It continues to go higher. Small caps are flat, spiders are flat. So it looks like banks are trying to recover. XLF has been stable. Not making new lows. So aluminum is down, LVS is down. All right, so let's switch. We have regional Life Financial continues to grind higher, up 8%. So you have these two standard deviation moves again, right? Whether it's an LVS or it's an ALLY, you have these large moves to the upside or to the downside. And aluminum, Alcoa, aluminum, been volatile, right? Let's look at spiders. Let's look at the ALI. All right, any questions? Some of them, Carol. Thank you. No, yeah, I mean, yeah, earnings are important. I talked about, this is still back. Yes, the sales back. So, right, we talked about being long or short volatility. And you can see the earnings continue to be very volatile, right? Whether it's LVS to standard deviation I mean, United Airlines, was up 17%. It hasn't happened in the past decade. So you could see these outsized move, right? And to the upside, some to the downside, like LI Financial, right? Pretty popular stock to trade. Also up 10%. Also 2 standard deviation moves. So if you look at this volatility, you probably want to be long, whether it's a debit spread, I did ratio spreads, but something where you at least hedged on some of these names. Bob, sell in May and go away. Well, for now, I think selling has been started a little earlier. And you can see 10-year yield continues to grind higher. Right, so let's look at 10-year yield. Yeah, so 10-year yield looks like recovering. Right, it pulled back from 470, now it's at 463. VIX is at 18. Value stocks, looks like value stocks are fighting the support. So value stocks start dropping, so that's good. Should provide some support to the market. QQQ slightly down, semis are leading the market to the downside. Spiders are actually finding some kind of a support. Small caps turning positive, regional turning positive. So that's good. Bitcoin looks like funds I would watch. So NVIDIA made new lows, right? So 820 today. So NVIDIA is important too, because that can push semiconductors even further down. But it looks like it made marginal new lows for March. Right? It briefly broke through the March lows. March lows is actually here. So close, it's getting close to March lows, but it pierced below 50-day moving average, right? So NVIDIA broke through April low, it pierced below and trying to close this gap, March 4th gap in NVIDIA. See if we can find some support in LVS. Stage some kind of a rebound. That's the problem with positioning. And so LI Financial, I mean, it could push the stock all the way to 42, right? It's kind of similar setup to but it's a small Vanna. So, but it could keep push the stock to, it's already at 40, right? The largest April 19 position is at 40. And then the next one is 42. And LVS, the issue is that there's really no put buying, right? So you just don't know how far, where the support is on LVS, right? And continue kind of grinding lower. Okay, so exit LVS. Let's see. How's Alcoa doing? Looks like Alcoa finally stabilizing. It looks like LI Financial is finally. So see, it reached 39.5, almost 40 level. And that's where the largest position was. Not a big Vanna, so I wouldn't be but nonetheless enough to kind of reach 40 level, and this is positive and pulling back. May is 42, so it could be kind of, it could push that level, but for now it's not. Any other questions? Sorry, sound back now. Sorry about this. Is when all boats drop in normal, it will be a sign what to comment. I mean, I agree, Kevin. The setup, it doesn't look like a very bullish setup. So I would be. So let's review the position. Sorry, I forgetting review the. So let's review the positions. So Amazon has earnings. So for now, my stop loss is 50%. If I'm losing 50% of that spread, I would get out. For now, until the earnings doesn't make, probably it's not going to happen. Still long gold and silver. We talked about that. NVO. I mean, there are some positive studies coming out. So NVO at least more or less stable, right? It's not making new lows, but vulnerable situation as well. It has earnings. So I'm not sure if I want to close the position unless there's a precipitous sell-off. So for now, I'm still holding position in NVO. I am hedging using SH, and I'm also hedging using the spiders, right? So the spider for 100 shares of XLF, I have 50 shares of put. And XLF actually, I think, looks like it's trying to find some kind of a support. Still, I think it's pretty weak price action. My thought process, if it gets to 50-day moving average or 51, just close the long leg and leave the short. I mean, long put. So those are the positions, and I would watch the expiration. Right, I need to watch the expiration because we're sitting at the 500 level and basically trying to close the NVIDIA gap. So next level is probably 494. That's that lower Bollinger Band. So 494, 490 looks like a good support that goes back to basically January of 24, January of this year. So if this level doesn't hold, if we break through yesterday's low, right, we touched it 499. So if you break through that level, then I think it's going low. Model basically sees that we are getting to 490. So today it sees 497, 498. We're already at 499. And that we are basically in the next 2 weeks, I would not be surprised to see 480 level basically. That's what the model is saying. And position. Okay. And LI. Senator 26. Okay, 911. Any questions? Waiting to break up or down. Let's look at some of these materials. So Bob was asking. Yeah, so materials is grinding around 50-day moving average. But now it's holding on. Home builders below 50-day moving average, pretty weak price action. Metals and miners are above stable, right? So they're stable, consolidating before probably the next leg is up. China was able to hold on to the 50-day moving average, but still trading below 200-day moving average. So still pretty weak price action. VIX is at 18. Industrials are fighting for the 50-day moving average. Junk bonds are weak. So junk bonds already reached 200-day moving average. So that, and it hasn't made new lows in the past 3 days. So that's good. But you know, in October it does have a tendency lows in junk bonds and high yield. REITs are weak. Right, makes sense. Healthcare is weak, 200-day moving average. Consumer discretionary is weak, 200-day moving average. Retail is weak, approaching 200-day moving average. Transportation is weak, below 50-day moving average, approaching 200-day moving average. Telecommunication is sold off precipitously. High interest rate, right? Verizon is actually holding up pretty well, considering. AT&T sold off, but Verizon is not doing bad. Oh no, Monday. Okay, Verizon is Monday. Okay. Microsoft is continue to drift lower. So Microsoft broke through the 50-day moving average, basically giving up most of the gains after the earnings. Meta still strong. Amazon still above 50-day moving average. Apple, you know, testing basically October, November lows from last year. So also not a very strong setup. Nvidia looks like it's bouncing back. Micron is bouncing back. Qualcomm dropping. Looks like aluminum is all over the place. Keeps flat. LI Financial is up 7%. Okay. What most concerned the worst case scenario? The dome complete failed. Okay, thank you, Karen. I mean, geopolitical risks are an issue, right? I mean, elections is an issue at some point. It's going to also create volatility. It's still unclear whether Israel will. Uncertainty. Market doesn't like uncertainty. Bitcoin is trying to regain 50-day moving average. Yes. So it's a very vulnerable situation, right? Bitcoin is sitting at the 50-day moving average, and Nvidia is sitting at the 50-day moving average, marginal lows. And we have option expiration. And I'm not sure where the good news can come from. Well, earnings, right? We'll see how maybe Netflix will hit a home run today, right? I don't know. The problem is that the bar is set very high, right? Even, let's see how people are positioning, right? From October lows, I mean, it's 348, 650, 300 points. I mean, it's almost 100% gain. So it's very hard to justify 100% gain in less than a year. So going into the positioning for Netflix, so call skew, put skew, sorry. So everybody's buying puts and selling calls, right? And the biggest one is at 550 and 700. So, 15% to the upside, 15% to the downside, pretty well hedged. But, expect, volatility. In the Netflix, right? It could be a $550 stock, or it could be a $700 stock, right? Or by May, maybe even that it will regain. That's the highest in Friday's expiration. The highest peak is at 700. So 80 points to the up or 80 points to the down, right? Or 550. And both positions are well hedged. So in theory, this is the put skew, right? People are buying puts, selling calls. It should not go below 550, and should not go much further than 770. So that's how I would look at the Netflix trade. LRCX and Nvidia. So let's look at the model. So next position in LRCX. So strong negative trend, right, as low as 841 based on our model. Let's see, LRCX. So if this level doesn't earnings in 6 days, again, I would watch the biggest tell is semiconductor, right? It broke to the 50-day moving average. It broke through April-March lows. Right, it's marginally below this earnings reactionary high on earnings. Next level is to give up all of the gains from the earnings, which is 800, if it doesn't hold this level. But it is oversold, right? It is oversold. So, and earnings is in 6 days, it just falls apart. But this is a bearish price pattern. This does not look very bullish. Nvidia is very similar, right? If this level doesn't hold and we're staying below 50-day moving average, then the gap, right? The open price from the earnings, which is 750. Right, 750. Let's see how people are positioned. Nvidia. So, I mean, they're still not as big, right? Only 4,000. I think it was much bigger at 1,000. So people are still buying 1,000 calls. Still pretty popular trade. But they're at the same time, they are hedging 720, right, in May. Very large positioning at 720. Nvidia could be at 720 or it could be at 1,000, right? Both situations are possible. A lot of it will have to depend on earnings, basically. BTC is up on earnings. Sorry, meant GPC. GPC, thank you. I think short will cover tomorrow. I don't know. I think shorts are pushing the market to the downside, right? So based on positioning, I'm not sure if shorts are going to cover. I don't think there's excessive shorting yet. So I think shorts might start covering is that these two hedges, right? We're still hedged, right? We're still pretty well hedged up until, well, even 500, right? Well, that's the strike price. But 495, right? Pretty large positioning for April, right? And people holding on to these puts. Well, they're going to be repositioned these 30,000 puts, in 495, 480 level. Then people are going to probably, start buying puts, right? You're probably going to start buying puts, and if you buy puts, dealers might have to, short the stock to be delta neutral. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, usually options expiration could get volatile. Coming in today for housing and jobs. Yeah. So economic data. Let's see, April 18. So we did have initial job claims and speak, right? Bostic usually is a little bearish. Beige book yesterday came in, I think, a little bit better than expected. Some of the regions are showing expansion in manufacturing and buying activity. So I think it's net positive surprise. Leading economic indicators have been negative. They could be also showing some stabilization. Maybe core PC April 26, maybe. But I think the everything is inflation data and Powell's speech, Fed decision on April 29th, which is in 11 days, and then earnings, right? And the more TSM earnings we have, that's not good, right? Because last now they have weak, it could push the market to the downside, right? Because ASML also wasn't great. Right, it's earnings. So punch one, punch two, another, I don't know who is announcing earnings. We do have Netflix today. TSM is supposed to be aftermarket close. Some, or they're just selling off because they're supposed to be after the close. I mean, they're always, because it's they're always all over the place. But Lowe's industry sales outlook. Okay, so they either pre-announced or this is just a little bit off. So okay, so let's assume they already announced earnings. So we're gonna have some energy names announcing. Credit cards already started announcing. That's gonna give a shock to the next week. Spiders either going to regain 50-day moving average, right, and get above that level because earnings are very strong, or they're just going to continue to deteriorate because of the positioning and earnings are weak, or not weak, but weaker than expected. ARC positive, regional banks. So only semis are underperforming. All right. 9:26. Sorry, took a little longer. Thank you very much. Did I answer all the questions? Bob, thank you. Fred, seems like the forecast suggests low over the next days. I mean, yeah. So if we have some 3 days of reversal, it's going to keep showing you that the market is going lower. And I think that's the right interpretation of the data. We need to have 3 days of reversal, right? 2 to 3 days of strong reversal and above average volume. If IWM is slightly positive, but the volume is very small, it's not a reversal, right? Maybe stabilization, maybe a build in the bottom, but not reversal. Ernest for 93, Bob, thank you. Tesla next support. Yeah, Tesla is kind of falling apart, but it has earnings next week. So it's either going back to 200-day moving average or it's going back to October lows. All right, thank you very much. Have a great day. I will see you